The very important part of the book of Job. Very interesting. So far, we have seen Job telling so many things to God. Job is accusing God, telling he is an oppressor, he is an arbiter, he is a persecutor, he is cruel, and all these things. Now it's God's turn to speak. We begin point 8 and point 9 together we shall see the content of God's speech. Already we know chapters 38, 1 and the following, up to 42, 1 to 6. Keep your Bibles closer, then so that we'll read something. Okay? Is that okay? Yeah. Now God does not answer Job and his questions directly. Rather, he appears in the cloud. He puts different questions and thereby answers Job and all his questions. God appears in the cloud. God's way of appearing answering to Job is overwhelming, frightening. Now the content of God's speech. He asks ironic questions to Job. He confuses Job by a series of questions in chapter 38. Now we will open chapter 38 of Job. Now let's see what God answers him, what God tells him. Then the Lord answered Job out of the whirlwind, who is in that darkness concealed by the clouds without knowledge. Okay. Now God says, gird up your loins like a man. God says, gird up your loins, which means during, for the days, I do not know, nowadays, even for the play kabaddi, along with the trouser inside, we put a cloth to tighten it. Have anyone know about that? No kabaddi background at all? No? You have a langota, right? You should not move, because in the play, moving is any small touch, you will be badly injured, especially in the play kabaddi. And now for cricket, there is guard, right? And now cricket, you understand. Yeah. Now God says, put up like a man. Stand up. Now you want to wrestle with me? Guard up your loins. Cover yourself properly. We will wrestle. God says, like a man, you guard up yourself. I will question you, and you shall declare to me. Where were you when I laid the foundations to the earth? Tell me if you have understanding. Who determined its measurements? Surely you know. Or who stretched out the lines upon it? You have this latitudes and longitudes on the earth, right? Now God is questioning, who has drawn that lines? It's me. When I have found it. Okay? Yeah. So, as we are seeing that God's speech, God's content would prove that He is the author of everything and He is controlling everything. And Job is not able to manage his situation. That is the content of God's declaration. And in his second speech, in his second speech, chapter 40 and 41, he brings forward two animals. 40 verse 15 to 24, there is an animal called Behemoth. And in chapter 41 verse 1 to 11, there is an animal called Leviathan. So these are the Behemoth. We can understand in context of how to represent this one as one of the sea serpents that is represented by book of Revelation. Yeah. And Leviathan, a kind of crocodile, something like that. So these are the two or great animals, sea monsters like. And God is presented as one who is controlling them. And God tells, which of you can control them? None of you can control. It is I who controls. Therefore, Even Egypt, in the olden days, kings are presented as going for hunting and all that, controlling. So they are not only in the kingdom, they are supreme, they are also supreme in the forest. Therefore, that's why they go for hunting the animals. Now here, God is presented as one who is controlling all the strongest forces of the nature, which we are not able to control. Thereby, God is declaring He is supreme. He is not simply an arbiter. Job said, you are an arbiter who does not care, who does not control, who doesn't care for. And God says, no, I control. Everything is controlled by me. So by naming two animals, God reveals a different perspective. That is, God who fights over the chaotic forces of evil. Now book of Job presents God as the one who is fighting against the chaotic forces of the evil. Now these are the topics of chapter point 8 and 9. Now we have the question. If God is fighting against chaotic forces and evil, from where does the evil is coming from? From where does evil is coming from? For this we will see three texts. Genesis chapter 1 verse 1 to 2. There was formless void and there was tohu bohu, which means there is a chaos and confusion on the face of the earth. And this chaos and confusion are the evil forces. And these evil forces, God brings order. God controls evil forces and brings order and creates. Book of Genesis, which means, and now evil has no power. It is subjugated to God. Therefore, there is a God controls that chaotic forces. Now there is a Isaiah chapter 45 verse 6 and 7. Isaiah speaks God as the one who created light and darkness. Now book of Isaiah speaking about God as the one who is author of light and darkness, which means it's God who created evil. The text appears, it is God who created this evil. Now we should understand from the background, from which text this particular Isaiah chapter 45, 6 and 7 coming from. That is a Persian religion, that is Zoroastrian religion. So Jews were under rule of Persian rule, and the Persian religion was Zoroastrian religion, and in the Zoroastrian religion there is a strong emphasis of dualism. There is light and there is darkness, and there is fight between both of them always. But Isaiah says they have been created by God, which means they are controlled by God. And book of Job, another text, third text, book of Job chapter 42 also speaks about a God who is, in contrary to Genesis and other things, God is the one who is controlling all these evil forces. So these three perspectives or these three texts tell us that God who is controlling the evil. So if God is controlling the evil, what man should do? What man should do? Now, next point, that same topic carries to the next point. Where is the status of man? What is the status of man? Now, God is controlling the world, and where is the man? Why man is so much bothered about? Now, Job is thinking as if he is the only one in the world. Therefore, he is questioning God, where are you? I am oppressed and you are not doing any justice to me. All that he is questioning. But God says, man, you are not the center of the world. There are so many things in the world. So I am protecting and governing and guarding everything. You are one of the smallest thing in the world that I have made. And what Job is called for? If I am controlling and ordering the things in the course of the situation, course of the world, Job is called Likewise, to bring order in his life. Going back to book of Proverbs, through wisdom, we can bring order in our chaotic, confused life. So that's it. Most of the time, when some bad things happen in our life, we think, okay, we are the only one carrying lot of burden in the world. No, it's not true. Everyone, according to their own life situation, have got their own troubles. Now, book of Job says, man, you are not the only one man fighting or struggling with the life. When God says, I am daily fighting in order to set things in order, creating order. Therefore, looking at God, Job should learn to put things, to bring order in his chaotic, confused world. So with this topic, we will close today and we will resume tomorrow small things and we will finish. Thank you, brother. Wishes. Yeah, brothers, good morning. Yesterday we were almost closing the book of Job, and there we have seen so far the introduction part. The book of Job questions the conventional wisdom, we said, and he experiences bad things in his life, but he is good. According to conventional wisdom, a good man must experience good things, but he is experiencing bad things. So that is the question. The book raises the questions concerning why an innocent suffers. So this is the context of the book of Job, and there we have seen some typical unique characters in the book of Job. The place, geographical region, we have conducted a survey on that. And personality of Job. What is the meaning of Job? Job is one who creates hostility. There are three meanings, and out of which the best meaning suits to the book of Job is the one who creates hostility, one who is hostile. Yeah. Then concerning the innocent suffering, third point, other Jobs elsewhere. It's not only book of Job presents innocent suffering, question of innocent suffering, but also throughout the world during those days, they have the questions. Why an innocent suffers? There are a number of, not only book of Job, but other literary works are presenting, questioning the innocent suffering, the reasons why innocent suffers. And we have a number of 4 persons at least we have studied there. Then historical context of Job, very important to the book of Job, understanding book of Job. And there we have seen Persians during the reign of, the book is written during the Persian period, and Persians have raised a new taxation system, that is collecting taxes in hard currency, that is through money, not in kind. So as a result, there were so many who had to sell their houses and property and become poor. And in that context, we said in Palestine those days there were 2 groups of rich. One group of rich are those who fear God, and therefore they fall back to the commandments of God. God said, lend the money without interest. And God's command is, abolish all the debts in the 7th year. Therefore, they have to cancel all the debts. Whoever have borrowed from them, on the 7th year, if they are not able to pay, they have to cancel the debts. So, because they feared God, they cancelled the debts, and thereby, year after year, they continue to give, continue to lend the money to the poor, and year after year, they have become poorer. And there are another group of rich in Israel who did not minded the commandments of God, that they should not take interest on money, and God's command that on 7th year they have to cancel the money, or cancel all the debts of the poor. They did not mind for these kind of two admonitions from God, and therefore they collected taxes. They collected all those borrowed from them interest, and they have not cancelled the money. Thereby, those who feared God became poor. Those rich who feared God and lend the money without interest and cancel the whole debt, they became poor. On the other side, the wicked rich who collected additional interest on the borrowed money and who have not cancelled any money, borrowed money, they became rich. And this is the context of the book of Job. Job is one among those rich who feared God and gave loans to the people who borrowed from him without interest, first thing. And on the 7th year, if they are not able to pay, he has cancelled. Thereby, year after year, he was doing the same thing and he became poor. And now he sees the wicked thriving. The good, righteous are experiencing bad things, experiencing poverty. And this is the question of innocent suffering in the book of Job. That's what we said yesterday. Then concerning the structure of the book, we have said the book is structured, first of all, prologue and epilogue, introduction and conclusion. Chapters 1 and 2, introduction, starting from chapters 3 to 27 is a continuous dialogue between Job and his three friends. Then chapter 28, we said it is a wisdom poem. That wisdom is not accessible to man because it is with God. Book of Job says it is with God. Man cannot attain wisdom. Then from there we have soliloquy of Job, chapters 29 to 31. Job is speaking in his former days, how good he was, how God-fearing he was. He was speaking about in those chapters. Then again we have a fourth friend named Elihu comes and discusses with Job concerning why he is suffering. He says he suffers because he might have sinned. Elihu says why Job suffers because suffering has a pedagogical meaning that we are going to see in the last point there. Then he is not satisfied with, and therefore he goes to fight with God. And therefore God calls Job and God answers Job. In chapters 38 to 42 is God and Job, discourse between God and Job. This is the structure of book of Job. This you should keep in mind. You should not forget this one. The next one is question of books unity. We said like book of Proverbs, different prose, different collections of prose were put together and made into book of Proverbs. Likewise, book of Job, which is already we said, this wisdom literature as secular literature. Therefore, they added something of God and they made into, they compiled books and put in the book of Bible. We said, they are added into the book of Bible. The secular books were given religious quote and inserted into Bible. That's what we have learned. Don't say these things to people. This is for us to understand. Then concerning the book's unity, we said book has got two sections. Book presents two types of Jobs, and book has got at least minimum two unnecessary portions which do not require for the book. Still book is complete. First of all, we said concerning book is written in two types. First of all, introduction and conclusions are written in prose form, and chapters 3 to up to chapters 31 it is written in poetry form we said. So usually a book will be either prose or poetry. Now it is both, which means it's a compilation. It's not a single book. Book of Job is not one. It is compiled, different things put together. First thing. Then concerning about 2 additional texts at least. That is what poem on wisdom and Elihu's material, that is starting from chapters 32 to 37. Without these 2 sections, book looks complete, because Job's book is Job's innocent suffering and his friends coming and consoling, giving different reasons. Already we said there was an international discourse was going on in the book of Job concerning innocent suffering, we said. Did we say? Yes. If that is the case, Elihu, portions of Elihu, then portions on wisdom poem, they become unnecessary and what we can call superfluous to the text and additional to the text. Therefore, by this we know book is not one. Book of Job is not one. It is a mixture. It is a putting together of different material. Now, why and for what matters they have put, already we have said, they have secular books. Therefore, in order to be accepted as a sacred books, they are given a religious coating. Because certainly there is a mention of God, but very little. Okay, that's all. Another discourse. Now coming to 7th point, Job guilty or innocent? By analyzing chapters 4 to 27, we have seen whether Job is guilty or innocent. I said he is guilty and the class says he is innocent. We are not in a position to accept. I mean, it's not we propose something like that. But what is our assessment after reading, after studying book of Job? And I said he is guilty and you said he is innocent. I said guilty because he did not understand the nature of God. Therefore, he questions God. If you don't understand, what happens? What we know, we think it is true. Therefore, is it all true? No, it's not all true. Now, after that we have seen God's first speech, God's second speech in the book of Job, and how God brings forward different questions and makes Job understand his situation and how God is taking care of the world and how God celebrates life and all that, okay? And how God controls forces that threaten the life of the world. Especially 2 animals, Behemoth and Leviathan. 2 animals God brings forward. He challenges Job. Can any man control them? No, it's I who control. Likewise, the world is always being disturbed. It's I who set things right in the world. So, Job's horizon of understanding is enlightened by God's questions. God does not answer why innocent suffers, but he gives a different understanding. He puts different questions for Job to understand what is the nature of God, what is the nature of man. That's the thing. Then concerning where does evil come from? There we have seen under the light of 3 texts, and still that is not over. For you to, still you can find as part of your assignment, one of you can take the problem of evil in the book of wisdom literature, or you can take Job, book of Job. You can take even Kohelet, even Proverbs. You can take, especially if you type book of Job, you will get an articles, number of articles, PDF articles, scholarly articles, and you can summarize that. And I will be very happy if someone does that. And likewise, fear of God in the wisdom literature. There are articles, scholarly PDF articles. Don't take whatever is there outside. If it is not PDF, I tell you, it is useless. If someone has really worked hard, they will not simply allow you to copy you. copy their material. They will authorize with PDF, which means you can only read and reflect and take the ideas, but you can't take it and make it your own. No, copying is not that easy. PDF files. Nowadays you are doing all that things. PDF are simply okay. But scholarly articles that are present in the net, they are not that easy to convert from PDF form to normal form. That's an aside. Then concerning man is not the center of the world. Yesterday we have seen. So Job is thinking because of his crisis, because his problems, he is having problem. Therefore, God should immediately look at him and take care of him and be at his side. That's what Job is thinking. That's what the world in which we are. We think we are the centers. We project ourselves. We try to control and subdue. Yes, man is trying to control so many things because of his, say, intellectual development. What is that then? Industrial development, lot of developments, technical developments. We are able to control and subdue. Previously, we were nothing. But nowadays, we are able to do so many things within no time. Which means a lot of technical development has happened. So thereby what we are trying to project ourselves, we are the gods of the universe. We are trying to present. We are the center of the universe. We can do everything. No. Book of Job would say, it is not possible for man to become center of the universe. There are so many things that are beyond us, beyond our understanding. So therefore, God tells Job, you are not the center of the universe. You are the one among the, one of the components of the universe. So there are so many greater things. So I have a lot of greater responsibilities. Don't think you have a problem, immediately I come and solve you. Okay? I myself I am putting things in order. Every time the order is disturbed and I am setting everything in order. Therefore, in due time I will come. Now, when God will come, book of Kohelet will answer. When God will come to our assistance, book of Kohelet will answer. That's okay. That's another matter. Then 12th point, that is God fights against evil. That also we have seen. God fights against the evil. Other text we have seen. Then the 13th point we are going to see now, accept the incomprehensible. Accept the incomprehensible. 13th point we are going to see now. So after long explanation, concerning 12th point, God also fights against the evil forces. Have you written something? No? Have you written? No? Not written. Okay, you can write a few lines. If God says, I am besieged by evil. If God says, I am besieged by evil, then God says, I fight daily against the evil forces of creation to protect it from them. If Job says, I am besieged by evil, then God says in his response, I fight daily against the evil forces of creation to protect it from them. Or you can watch the video. I'll read few lines and finish it up. Evil is inevitable, but God is fighting to reduce it. The fight with evil is perennial, not ending, without final victory. Job 3:15-16 would speak about it. Likewise, Romans 8:18-24, Paul also says, Finally, God works constantly to reduce the evil. So finally, God tells to Job, unless one fights, one metal cannot be proved. Therefore, at the face of evil, at the face of different things that affect man, man should not give up a fight to preserve his tranquility. In our daily life, evil doesn't come only once a while, but rather sometimes perennially we have to fight with it. Evil appears on and off in our lives. Therefore, what should be our response to it? We should not enter into cynicism, that is criticizing, nor enter into despair, lose hope. Rather, book of Job calls to go forward, knowing the definitive of evil in the life, and there is final victory. So this is the concept concerning the God fights against the forces of evil. Then point 13, accept the incomprehensible. Accept the incomprehensible. Under the light of biblical citation from Job 42 verse 6, we shall talk about this point. Accept the incomprehensible. We'll open the Bible and see the text. Job 42 verse 6. Can read from 5 and 6. But I heard of you by the hearing of the wind. It is a response of Job to God. What Job says? I had heard of you by the hearing of the ear, but now my eyes see you. Therefore, I despise myself and repent in dust and ashes. Now, the biblical word, therefore I despise myself, has got a deeper meaning. Not simply despise. It would mean, I despise would mean I lost interest. Which means, at the final encounter between Job and God, Job loses interest. Now, two ways of interpreting the meaning of Job lost interest. One way, he might have abandoned the quest for knowing God. One way to speak that Job lost interest in God would mean he might have abandoned the concept of or knowing God, the quest for knowing God. Secondly, the verse also would mean that Job accepts the incomprehensible or incomprehensible nature of God. Therefore, he does not try to understand God. So, two ways of interpretation is available on the verse. That is 42 verse 6. I lost interest. Now, this opens the book of Job. This opens the book of Job. Book of Job is opened on this. Book of Job is not closed. It doesn't say whether Job has understood everything or he hasn't understand. what God has said. Now, because book of Job is not clear on this point, book of Kohelet answers this question. Book of Kohelet answers this question. Now, coming to the 14th point, 3 other ways to overcome the crisis of evil, or the crisis of wisdom. Wisdom is at the crisis. What is wisdom? Wisdom always says the virtuous will experience good things and the evil will experience bad things. Wisdom time and again would say, report about this. Now, daily life experience of Job would say, no, it is not the case always. Evil thrive. Evil are thriving and good are experiencing bad things in their life. Now, this is a crisis of wisdom. Now, how to overcome? Book of Job says, innocent is suffering. So, what is the answer for that? There are 3 answers book of Job presents before us. First of all, book of Job, chapter 28. We said previously, chapter 28 is unnecessary to the book of Job, we said, right? Without this, chapter 28 would speak about wisdom, incomprehensible nature of wisdom. So this book, this chapter is placed in the book of Job purposely. Say, what would the book of Job, to the question, why innocent suffers, the question that book of Job raises, why innocent suffers, to that, chapter 28 of book of Job would answer and say, innocent suffer, but we do not know why, because we are not able to understand ourselves, we are not able to completely understand the world, we are not able to understand God. So therefore, why we suffer, we do not know. So the incomprehensible nature of innocent suffering is explained in the book of Job. If only you have understanding why innocent suffers, you can say why he is suffering. But book of Job, chapter 28 would say that understanding, that wisdom is with God and is with God only. And man is not able to attain it. We'll read the text and we will understand it better. Please open book of Job, chapter 28. Yesterday, passingly we have seen, or passingly we have just gone through few things. So Job is looking for the wisdom to know why innocent is suffering. Therefore, a poem on wisdom would speak from verse 12 we shall read. But where shall wisdom be found? And where is the place of understanding? Mortals do not know the way to it, and it is not found in the land of the living. The deep says, it is not in me. Deep means the seas. And is not with me. It cannot be gotten for gold. Silver cannot weigh as its price. It cannot be valued in the gold of Ophir. So gold and glass cannot equal it. Nor can it be exchanged for jewels of fine gold. Where then, verse 20 we shall read, where then does wisdom come from? And where is the place for understanding? It is hidden from the eyes of all the living and concealed from the birds of the air. So we shall continue reading from 25. When he gives to the wind to his weight and appointed out the waters by measure, when he had made a decree for the rain and a way for the thunderbolt, then he saw it and declared it. established it and searched it out. And he said to humankind, truly the fear of the Lord, that is wisdom, and to depart from evil is understanding. So, from introducing the poem on wisdom and telling humans cannot comprehend wisdom, Book of Job is trying to answer the crisis of wisdom. What is the crisis of wisdom? Why innocent is suffering? Why I am not able to understand? That has been presented by 28th chapter of wisdom, poem on wisdom. It would say, man will not understand this because he cannot comprehend the things. Secondly, concerning why innocent suffers, from the book of Job, chapters 32 to 37, a response of a fourth friend called Elihu. He says, why innocent suffers? If we sin, it affects someone. If you live virtuous life, it affects others. Therefore, third friend Elihu would say, why he is answering for the crisis of wisdom that Job is facing. Why innocent suffers? He says, because of innocent suffering, others would receive grace. So it is suffering of an innocent. For why? For what he suffers? Because through the sufferings of the innocent, others receive benefit. So, likewise we have in the Christianity, through the sufferings of Christ, we receive benefit. We attain salvation, or we become children of God, or our sins are remitted, we are forgiven because of the sufferings of Christ. Likewise, book of Job raises questions, innocent suffering, and chapter 32 to 37, in the answers of Elihu, there is an answer to the crisis of wisdom that is present in the book of Job. Finally, chapters 1 and chapters 42 would give answer why to the question why innocent suffers in the book of Job. Book of Job raises the question why innocent suffers. And now chapter 1 and chapter 42 would give the real possible reasons to the crisis of wisdom that is presented in the book of Job. Now let's analyze what are they. The first chapter of Job, if you see, brothers, from somewhere, we do not know, a tester, Satan, or it is in Hebrew, Ha-Satan. So when it is Ha is used before a noun, it's a definite article. Definite article, like we say, no, the sun, the moon, the earth. As we say, like Ha in Hebrew is used next to a word, it would mean there is a definitive one. So here there is a Ha-Satan. Satan comes to test. Now let us see, where is Satan? We shall read from verse 6. Shall we read from 6? Yeah, we shall read from 6. One day the heavenly beings came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan also came among them. Who came to God? God's kingly court. Who came before Satan? Heavenly beings. So now, if we clearly understand a number of places, God is understood as a kingly court, royal court, kingdom. Heaven is presented as a kingly court, royal court. And in the royal court, not only king, he has got his assistants like every king will have a group of counselors, different people and so on, no? In his palace, especially the poets and all different people. Likewise, in God's kingly court, Hebrew understanding, God is king, and in his kingly court there are so many officials, in charges, who are serving God. They are all servants of God, and they do the work of God. Likewise, Satan is one of the agents of God. Brothers, Satan is what? One of the agents of God. And now what is his work? To test and to accuse. To test and accuse. Book of Job is very clear. And now this man is not bad in himself. Rather, he comes and tests and proves how much you love God. He accuses if you have done something before God. Therefore, we have an advocate. We have an accuser. We have an advocate. Advocate is the Holy Spirit and accuser is the Satan. If you do something bad, he accuses before God. This man is like this. So, the accusing power of God is presented as Satan. Therefore, he comes to test Job. Now, book of Job presents that why an innocent suffers? Why an innocent suffers? Because there is a accusing power of God. We are not away from. God sees everything, and therefore no of our transgressions would escape him. Therefore we will be accused. And Elihu would say, Elihu in his response to Job, he says, I am innocent. He would say, you fellow, you are drinking with your fellows, and you are walking with the evildoers. You are walking in the company of evildoers. Psalm 1 would say, shall we read Psalm 1? We shall read. Take Psalm 1. Oh, wait. Yeah, please read. Yeah, happy are those who do not follow the advice of the wicked, or take the path that sinners tread, or sit in the seats of scoffers, but their delight is in the law of the Lord. Now, Elihu accuses that, you fellow, you are drinking. You are walking with the scoffers, sinners and all that. Therefore, you are guilty of it. So, don't say you are innocent. So, with this, we close book of Job and the crisis. And now, concerning, as we have said, despite all these things, the opening verse of book of Job is, remember always, 42:6. At the end of all the things, Job, what he says? I despise myself. So I despise, we have translated it as I lost interest. I lost interest to know why I suffer, why innocent suffers. This is not the correct attitude. Therefore, book of Kohelet comes into action. What should be human attitude in the face of innocent suffering? So, the question that is raised by book of Job is being answered by book of Kohelet. And this paves way for us to enter into the book of Kohelet.